Hi YouTube. Today we're going to make one loaf of bread. A very good bread with a little bit of potato in it, a little bit of milk. This kind of bread is very tender and soft. Now those of you that know me know I usually make 6 loaves of bread at a time. But you know what? I'm sick. I don't feel good. And still my family has to eat. I make all my own homemade bread, so I looked to see if I could find a recipe, because really bread is like chemistry. You got to have the right ingredients. And I found a wonderful recipe for one loaf of nice white potato bread. Noreen from Noreens Kitchen made it. Now those of you that don't know Noreen, get on over and get to know Noreen. Noreen's a fabulous cook and a fabulous baker. And now with our recipe, or with her recipe, of course, you know how I am, I tweaked it a bit. You're going to need a cup of warm water. Now the water needs to be so warm that it's like baby formula. I don't know if people even heat up formula anymore. It should never be more than 110 degrees. Let's figure that out. Then you're going to need 2½ teaspoons of instant yeast. And I'm using that safe yeast, because I buy it in bulk. Or you could use 1 package of yeast. If that's how you buy your yeast, use that. Then I'm going to take 6 to 8 tablespoons. In my case, I'm using 8 tablespoons of semi-melted butter. Alright, I'm going to use 1½ teaspoons of salt. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of honey. And I got this honey from Michagansnowpony. She's also on YouTube. What a gal. I love that gal. She's just a riot. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons of honey. Then I'm going to use ½ cup of instant potato flakes. There we go. Something to do with them instant potatoes besides cooking them up, putting gravy on them. And then I want 1/4 cup of powdered milk. You know, there's so many uses for our powdered milk. And then I mentioned flour. We're going to start with about 3 cups of flour, but we'll work it out and we'll see what we need. I'm going to use my new fandangled kitchen aid. But you know what? You could do this by hand. And I normally would. I'm just swear the strep's killing me. And I just need to rest a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It's simple as pie. We're going to start out with our 1 cup of water. And then to that, I want to put in my honey. 2 tablespoons of honey. This is the most fabulous honey. I don't know if she sells it or not. She gave it to me. I know, don't be jealous. Don't give hate. She gave it to me as a gift. What a wonderful gal. Just love that girl. And she had her daughters with her. What a nice trip we had. Okay, so I put in my 2 tablespoons of honey and in my warm water. Now we're going to put in 2½ teaspoons of instant yeast. Alright, about 2½ teaspoons of instant yeast. I'm going to take all that butter I had, and I'm going to throw that in there. This is ooey and gooey. And I already know my yeast is good, so I won't worry about that. If you happen to not know if your yeast is good, first put your yeast in the water with a little bit of either sugar or honey, stir it up, put a cover over it, and put it somewhere dark. Then, after about 10 minutes, look at it. If it looks spongy and foamy, your yeast is good. If it's not foaming, if it's not spongy, your yeast is no good. But I know this is good. So, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give that a little stir. There it all is. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in my ½ cup of potato flakes. I'm going to put in my 1/4 cup of powdered milk. Alright. And let me just check my recipe. I think that's it. And I'll start out with Let's see. Now flour is a funny thing, friends. Sometimes you can do exactly 5 cups or 3 cups, 3 cups of flour. Sometimes you can't. So, you know, sometimes it takes more. It just depends on what's in there. Alright, I put 3 cups of flour, which is what 1 loaf of bread calls for. I'm going to put this on. Alright, now, if I was doing this by hand, I'd just take a spoon and do it. I'm not so sure I even like all this newfangled stuff. I'm telling you, I'm a gal who knows how to I use my fingers with everything. And I really like that. I still think it's the best way to cook, but, you know, I'm trying to get a little modernized. I don't know why. When the stuff hits the fan, we're going to have to know the old way like I tend to do. So we'll just keep doing this. And I'm going to give you a shot in. Let's see. Just going to take a few. And I keep scraping down the sides. Don't know if you're supposed to or not. Now this is looking pretty good to me because I know what bread looks like. I'd say give it a little time. I might add just a little. No, I'm not going to. That is going to be perfect. You hear my machine? What a pain in the butt. I'm telling you, my hands never gave me noises. Okay, I'm thinking I might. No, I'm going to leave it alone. And as you learn to make bread, this is what you're going to go through too. You're going to keep asking yourself, should I add something? Should I put something in there? You know, but after you get to know how to do it after a while, it's pretty simple. And just let the crazy machine do its thing. Again, if you are doing it in a bowl, use those hands. Work that, you know. Push it down, scrape it, just till it becomes a ball. And then I'm going to go crazy here. I'm not going to be able to tolerate this much longer. I'm going to have to get this out and do it myself. I would be perfect in a SHTF situation, at least when it comes to baking or defense. I guess I'm pretty good at that too. With these two things, because, especially baking, because I'm a hands-on kind of gal, and sick or not sick, I just can't take a machine doing my bread. It's just not going to happen. You know, my bread is my bread. And we could do all kinds of pretty things with this. Just keep doing this. What you do is you roll it out with the palm of your hands. You fold in the sides. You bring the top up. And you do it again. And you just keep doing it till it's absolutely real nice. Now you notice I do not have any flour on my counter. This is not one of those nice granite counters. This is just a look-alike. It's a looker. So just keep working your dough. Also, I don't like using a whole bunch of different containers, so I'm going to take this container, I'm going to clean it out a little bit, I'm going to spray it, I'm going to throw my dough in there to rest. I just have fun with my dough. If Ted gets me mad, I yell at it. You know, you can't take words back with people, but bread never gives you an argument. There you go. It's looking good. Looking real good. Okay, I went ahead and cleaned this out. I'm just going to use a spray. If you don't have a spray, don't worry about it. Put a little bit of oil in it. Take your bread that you just kneaded, plop it in there, swirl it around a little bit, turn it over, and there you go, voila. Now you're going to take a nice clean towel, you're going to put it over that. And then I'm going to put this in my oven. It's not heated. It's just away from breeze, and it's sort of warm. It's, you know, it just hasn't been used. Let's put it that way, so you know what the temperature might be in there. We're going to leave that in there for a little while, I'd say about half an hour to 45 minutes. So I just put it in my oven, 30 to 45 minutes. After about 40 minutes, we're going to check the dough. And yeah, it's about doubled. So I'm going to go ahead and take it and shape it into a loaf. We're going to take the dough. Here's our pan. First things first, let's spray it. Now you can flour it too if you want to. I just don't bother with that anymore. It's sort of silly. Just totally grease your pan. If all you have is some shortening oil or lard, lard's nice too. Just take your dough out. You don't have to beat it up. There's no sense in that. I hear people say that all the time. I do too. I beat up my bread a lot. I shouldn't act all innocent there. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to make like a rectangle. It's very simple. We're just pushing out some of the air. Somebody asked me once, why do you keep your yeast in the freezer? Well, it keeps longer. It's about right. Okay. Then what you do is you just take this and start rolling it up. This is going to make a very high loaf. This would be real nice. This is going to be a nice textured bread. Ted will be happy because he has his. And then I just take this and I bring it in. Alright, that should be it. And then I take the side that has the line, I put it in my pan, just like that. And once again, excuse me, I'm going to take my towel and I'm going to put it over my bread and I'm going to put my bread away for another, say 40 minutes, let it rise again. When it's a little bit over the pan, I'm going to cook. You know what? This bread rose in about 23 minutes. Now do you see how that looks? I'm not trying to give it just a little bit over the top, not a whole lot. What a beautiful loaf. We're going to put our bread in the oven. Okay, timer went off. Let's see. It's not, sounds good, but it's not the color I want. So I'm going to put in for a few more minutes just to get that nice color. There you go. You're going to hit your bread. You hear that? That's a hollow sound. That means your bread is done. There is a very nice sandwich bread. Nice loaf. So Ted could be happy when he comes home. There you go. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed making the one loaf of white bread. Sometimes you're by yourself, or sometimes you just don't need 6 loaves at a time. So this is a good way to have that one loaf of bread. And it doesn't take that long. Remember, it took 40 minutes in the oven, but I want you to do it, put it in the oven for 30 minutes, and then if you don't like how it looks, we're going to put it in again for another 10. So it's 30 to 40 minutes.